right, step right up. Oklahoma City fans, I've Had It fans, Lodane fans. We're going to talk about what it's like to be from Oklahoma City and see the I've Had It podcast do its thing. All right. Hi, everyone. It's July now. I filmed the majority of this in June at the same time as the previous two videos. And this is the footage where I talk a lot about Oklahoma and my feelings about being born and raised in Oklahoma, a phrase you're going to hear about 30 times. I apologize. And also my feelings about the I've Had It podcast and iHip News. Now, before we get into things, I want to explain what critical support means, because it's a phrase that causes some confusion. A lot of people think that it means like I'm providing support that is critical at a critical time, like vital, but it means critique. It means the other critical. So I want you guys to understand that I am providing critical support and the critique will come later. I hope you guys enjoy. Pow!
So are we supposed to start the podcast?
I was born and raised in Oklahoma, and I've been watching quite a bit of Jennifer Welch and her friend Pumps on the I've Had It podcast and iHip News.
Patriots, gay triots, they triots, black triots, brown triots, we love you. Everybody that still supports Trump can do what? Okay. All right. Welcome to I've Had It. I'm Jennifer.
I'm Angie.
Of course, I find it amusing because they're like, everyone's like, oh, these are like lib wine moms.
Okay. So there's this lady. She's like a wine mom.
But it's like, yeah, they're Northwest Oklahoma City lib wine moms. And I love that. But also, like, of course, there is a tension. There is a tension there because there is such an economic divide. It's like they did live in a different Oklahoma City than I generally live in. The metro area, like the Oklahoma City metro area, I've talked about this before, but it's like 50 miles wide, 50 miles deep, long, whatever, math. We live in very different Oklahoma cities, and Jennifer Welch has moved to New York while her friend Pumps is still here, Angie.
You probably left because you wanted to get away from this.
I love Pumps. I love them both, but you know, we all have our favorites, right? And I just know I would probably drive them both insane. This may be an unhinged thing to say, but like at one point, before I even knew they had one producer, Kylie.
Hi. Hi, Kyles.
I considered, and they were both still here in Oklahoma City, I considered approaching them for like a production assistant or editing or research, like part-time thing if they needed any help. They are friends with former clients of mine. It's not really unheard of. Like I, possibly could have approached them and explained, hey, here's my portfolio. If you need a reference, talk to your friend. Name drop. Whoosh. I did not do that. And then they got like two more producers who are both guys, which I'm such a misandrist. Just like, aw, fellas, I came here for menopausal ladies. Come on now, like, what are we doing? I kid, mostly. I mean, I'm a quirky girl. I can't help it. I make stupid facial expressions. I didn't mean for this to turn into, like, me talking about iHip. I may actually turn this into its own thing. But yeah, now they're oversaturated on producers, I'm pretty sure. Even though I'm positive, I don't really know how to ask for what I'm worth, so I would definitely be cheaper than whatever they're paying the fellas. But I think that I would probably drive them a little crazy because I mean they are very good Lord, they're known for originally doing an interior design show. I am decidedly a very maximalist and kitschy person in comparison to their stylistic sensibilities, from what I can tell. And I've heard them say things about like they hate slow walkers and stuff like that. And I know in that moment they're not trying to like be ableist or anything, but I like seriously, like I have to rock a cane sometimes. So like if I ever actually had to do anything in real life with them, I know that if they had any professional stress going on, that they would not be unkind to me, but that would be like the kind of thing that's probably boiling underneath the surface. I get it. I am a person too a lot of the time, and so I am also frustrated with the fact that like I walk slow. Like I know it's little things like that, but like the whole premise of their show is I've had it, and they have to come up with things that they've had it with, you know. And
Pumps, what have you had it with?
Okay, what I've had it with, and I've had it, especially in Oklahoma. I've just had it.
People in line who do this or that, and it's like once you've checked off enough of those where you're like, oh yeah.
She's everything I hate. Despite my disliking her, I don't know how beneficial it is for her to be locked up.
Then again, I bet there's also some George Carlinism in there. They are also about themselves a little bit sometimes there, because if you only watched George Carlin stand up and you heard him rattle off the things that annoys him and the kind of people that piss him off and that sort of thing, then yeah, you're gonna hear a long list of things that might make you feel like,
I do that.
I do that. But at the same time, if you listen to the people who are in his life, like his long-term partners or his daughter.
It's my friend Rain Pryor.
Rain Pryor is sitting next to Kelly Carlin.
Then you start to figure out some of those people he was about was him. That, you know, he complained about people who were basically hypochondriacs. I know there's a more modern term for that. I will look it up. It was the term at the time. I've got terms like that too, so I do apologize if that's now an offensive term or if it's just outdated. We'll figure that out here in post. Yeah, editing Lodane here. Hold up, because that's like the fourth thing that you've said that we would fix in post. And to be honest, I just deleted the other ones because they were tangents. But this is just lazy. You didn't even look it up for me. You just soldiered on half remembering the correct answer. And listen, you were assistant director back in the film school era. But when you delegate to your future self, that's called something else. That's procrastination. Hold on, look at this. When I stretch your face out like this, you look like that Thor guy. Nerd. Here's you singing that song I wasn't supposed to show. Do, 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 do. This is the elevator music for the research popping up on your screen right now. Other editing Lodane here. Now, you hold up, Missy. You've acted like this was a job pitch for half the video, and then you're gonna pull a stunt like this just because I asked you to do something? I'm theoretically trying to impress Pumps, not you. What was your brilliant plan to recover from this? I don't know, I just thought maybe I'd show her that Charlie Kirk video I edited. Bro, that was like a really mid video. We are not showing that on YouTube.
Look, Lodane, it's clear that the audience doesn't like to hear you beat yourself up, even in a normal situation, and this is practically a fistfight.
What the? Avon? Avoninator, the audiomancer?
No, never heard of anyone called by that name. I gotta go. Have a good day, mortals. Oh fudge!
Oh my god, I'm going completely Bob Hoskins. Holy. Oh my god. I'm losing it. So yeah, George Carlin was the one with a lot of medical anxiety. George Carlin saw a drug advertised on TV and would not only make fun of the kind of person who felt like they needed to go get that, but would then go get that because he felt like he needed it. I feel like there's a little bit of them making fun of themselves and the way that they can be, but some of it, I'm just like, oh no, they genuinely would like... Honestly, like, I do think it would be funny if Pumps just needed a production assistant gopher. I would happily go for Pumps. It would be great. Just go get her coffee and her dry cleaning. Plus, then any legal ideas that I wanted to talk about. I did run this past an attorney. I know. I'm not gonna tell you which one, but you know, they said that it largely checks out. But I'm not an attorney, so. I don't really know where all of you stand on a lot of issues in the world. I know a lot of people don't want to hear about religion or politics or whatever. However, I find them to be fascinating topics. I think that when, like, for example, if you've got some like history dude, right? If you've got a history dude just talking about history and just telling you how things went with like, oh, here's what happened in this war.
The history dude proudly presents the premiere of the war of this and that.
And General what's-his-name did this and that, and the president said this and that, and the Senate revolted and they did this and that, you know, like that is talking about politics. If and it can even be like the church did this or that. Now we're talking about religion. But when people say like, I don't want to talk about politics and religion, like it means that got a lot of strands in old Duder's head.
I wonder what would happen if a well-funded Democrat were able to go into an Oklahoma and run on just the failed policies of the Oklahoma Republican Party. And listener, Brad Henry was the last time we had a Democratic governor. We're ranked 14th or 17th in education, depending on which data you look at. So, I mean, top 20 in education. Since then, it's been a Republican supermajority, first via Mary Fallin, this governor who allegedly, big Christian female governor who allegedly had an affair with one of the troopers, state troopers assigned to protect her. Then it gets passed to Governor Kevin Stitt, who dedicated every square inch of Oklahoma to Jesus Christ. Every metric, Oklahoma has collapsed further and further. And I wonder if there were a Democratic Party that is present in these states. So you have the Republicans that out crazy each other. And that's a real error of Rahm Emanuel, who thumbed his nose at the 50-state strategy. And you can see when the Democratic Party exited Bible Belt states like ours, you don't have a healthy electorate. You have a very toxic, crazy electorate. And these people fall prey to all this propaganda that there's litter boxes and you're that triggered. Like these people are so emotionally fragile. And so are we all a little emotionally unstable?
Yes.
I lied to the dentist and said I wasn't. And here's Marsha Blackburn.
How hard am I gonna crack down on China? Well, here's a clue.
Not only are these people like idiots, that's just not even enjoyable to watch. Like you think you're a badass, Marsha Blackburn, because you're crumpling up fortune cookies. I mean, it's just so stupid. I fucking hate these people.
Well, in Oklahoma, they're chopping bananas in half to say how, much they're against trans people. I mean, I think they're appealing to the lowest, appealing intellectual. I mean, they're going for the deep-seated racism.
They say, like, write what you know, and they say don't start a YouTube channel unless it's something you can talk about for like 4 or 5 years without completely burning out on it. And I kind of know how to do the first one. The second one I've been really uncertain on for a long time, but I will say that as someone born and raised in Oklahoma who has spent the majority of their life here, though I have gone elsewhere and lived elsewhere, which is like a big rite of passage, especially for the economic roach motel of Oklahoma, where it's very, very hard to leave here. If this is the only economy you've been in, the upward mobility of other states is very, very difficult. Like you'll be saving for months to be able to afford first and last month's rent at the new state, kind of thing. So, well, I guess there are some people who have enough money in this state where that isn't a true statement. It's true for me because we tend to operate on the lower end of the economic scale. Whenever I would talk to people about national or international politics, I found that I couldn't quit mentioning Oklahoma. It's such a weird example about everything, and it seems like I can't stop mentioning Oklahoma as an example. So that is part of I didn't choose this, it's just, it won't stop coming out of my mouth. So that's it's part of my thought process here is if I can't shut up about it, no matter what I'm supposed to be talking about, if I always bring it back, they got me.
But that is probably.
Oh my God. Before we get to the stories, I have to tell the two of you something. So I went to this party last night in New York. This woman comes up to me and she's with this man. So the guy she's with is literally like 3 inches from my face. And the guy, white guy, standing next to me, her friend starts going, sitting there making this. His faces were like you guys. What? And I said, not today, Satan. And he goes, what? Like there's Satanism here? And I go,
Oh.
yeah, there's Satanism here. And he keeps making these faces. And I said, I'd had it. I go, how about instead of sitting there making those faces, why don't you just look me right in the face and say, f off, and we can end this conversation instead of you passively doing that. He goes, well, I mean, I just, there's just absolutely no Satanism in the United States. Because these white men that are so triggered. Well, it turns out this woman is a matchmaker. That's her job. He is a client of hers. And she had introduced him as, she goes, can I tell them who you are? And I'm just like, I'm not impressed with that. I mean, like, whatever. Yes. I didn't say dime a dozen up in New York. I was polite. This guy thinks if he's offended by the restroom, he can't just exit. He's that big of a snowflake and he's that big of a libertarian. He wants to have these conversations with me about it. And he's like, well, I'm just all about privileged white snowflake. I'm like, well, clearly. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. But I realized in this moment, these white men, these snowflake men, their whole identity becomes capital.
Yep.
And they see women with opinions as an incredible threat. Mm-hmm. It was a very hostile confrontation, his facial expressions were so, I was just like, you know what? I'm not in Oklahoma anymore. And I was like, why don't you just look at me and say, F you, instead of making those faces at me? And he was just like,
what's the matchmaker doing? God, I wish you would have been there.
There's a lot of misinformation about Oklahoma out there.
There are no radical left anywhere in Oklahoma. None.
Nowhere.
Or a lot of differently partitioned information, or different, as one of my favorite authors refers to, our own personal echo chambers, basically, as a reality tunnel.
I think they're too stupid. I really, if you are that worried about the radical left, I mean, so many about trans, I'm like, there are more cases of measles in Texas than trans athletes in the whole United States. Like,
editing Lodane here just to say, I kept thinking of my friend's Substack. I hate it here and I never want to leave. I hate it here and I never want to leave is Jordan's new Substack all by himself. It's an answer to something that we've all dealt with for a while, which is like, if you live in a conservative area, do you want to dedicate your entire life to trying to fix it? Or do you want to leave and find your own people? And this is something that is debated in the queer community a lot. What's his name? Dan Savage? Yeah, I used to love that guy. But he did discuss this a lot back in the day, and he gave permission to all the queers. Like, hey, you don't have to dedicate your entire life to fixing these people. It's not your job. Like, you should not have to stay in an area all by yourself for a very long time where you're going to be lonely, you may not find love, and you're dedicating your entire life to fixing a bunch of backward people who hate you. But I hate it here and I never want to leave is Jordan's answer to that. Now, Jordan did leave. Jordan's from Ohio, I think the Columbus area, and that's like right by West Virginia. And I couldn't get that out of my head, and so a lot of what you're about to see is me stumbling over that, like trying not to say it. I find that, my whole life, I've hated this state. I do. I hate Oklahoma. Right? Everyone who lives here, for the most part, hates it. It's one of those things. There's a lot of places like that. And then you leave, maybe, and you come back. And yeah, I hate it here, but I don't necessarily hate the people, though. Not all of them. There's a lot of good people here. There are things I like about this place, and it's just like, it's not gonna change if people like me keep running away, So I'm a product of Oklahoma. They should have to deal with me. That's part of my philosophy, I guess. But I've also seen Oklahoma being really badly misrepresented. And it's like, if you're gonna say things about Oklahoma and you're gonna criticize Oklahoma, there is so much to criticize, like valid to criticize, stuff that needs to be criticized.
I think this whole notion of how punitive we are, like we incarcerate more people than any other first world country, and it's
women.
a for-profit. Yeah, I think Oklahoma is like number one in incarcerating women. It's the worst state in the country for women to live in is Oklahoma. It's ranked 50th, dead last.
And I've been seeing people get it wrong, and I've seen people misrepresent things and count on their viewers just not knowing any better. It's kind of driving me insane. I'd rather Oklahoma actually get criticized for the things that it should be criticized for. I'd rather the realities of Oklahoma be known. Like, I get it. Who the hell wants to know anything about Oklahoma? Like, if you don't live here, like, why do you want to know about Oklahoma?
This statistics about Oklahoma. 50th in education, 49th in this, 48th in this, 46th in this, 47th in that. It's just, a bottom 10 state. And so it cracks me up when people in Oklahoma say 420, 420.
We are a testing ground for a lot of really crazy political stuff. A lot of wild religious and political stuff happens here.
PSA, go ahead before the midterms and check out your voter registration because crazy is happening. I just recently had to go down to the county election board because when I went to vote for mayor, it had me under my married name, which I had filled out all the paperwork when I did the name change. And even though the SAVE Act hasn't passed, I thought they're with people. So I drove down there and I re-signed it. And she's like, well, this is going to keep you from voting in the primary. I go, I'm a Democrat. There's nobody for me to vote for in the primary. Like we've got one in each race. I mean, they're recruiting Kylie and I to run. That's how desperate they are.
It's a little bit of a bizarre battleground. It's like a battleground that you don't consider a battleground because it's not very purple, right? Thanks to gerrymandering especially, we're very, very red. We don't even have blue dots anymore for Oklahoma City and Tulsa like we used to. Until recently. They did that recently.
I feel like the backbone of this podcast is blue dots and red states.
Yeah.
I really do. I think it's the most overlooked portion of the American electorate. And I think those are the toughest fighters. There's no purity test in this. It is a breed of you politics. It is a breed of Democrat. We want you to get up every single day and stand up to these bozos.
Yeah, actually, there's a lot of local politics and law and things like that I would love to discuss, especially as it pertains to other stuff, like as it comes up in the news or on YouTube.
By all accounts, there has been absolutely zero, like graciousness, humility, taking accountability. Sorry. This was just one of those things. No remorse by all accounts.
I know white women like her that think that their doesn't stink, that think the rules don't apply to them and all of the friends they hang out with. I'm very familiar with this type of woman.
Screw it, right? I'm here. I might as well talk about that. And I hate this place, but tell you to write what you know, right? They tell you to talk about what you know, and I can talk about the eccentricities, oddball nature of this state quite a bit. So I could talk about how much I find this place mediocre and backward. I could talk about that all day. I really could. But it is sort of out of a place of love. And I don't know, even depending on your definition of patriotism, I'm not thrilled with the way things are going in this country, and the state is not an exception. And as a result, here I am bringing my unique point of view, doing what I can. But I know that I have a unique point of view. I know that I come at things from a different angle than a lot of people do. And that's not always great, and it's not something that always works out, but sometimes it does. And sometimes I feel like I'm the only person who sees certain things. And so if I can share those things, if I'm the person who's qualified to see those things because of my unique circumstances, I'd rather point them out and educate people about them. Okay, so Jen, Pumps, guys, I get that you're on your dark woke thing, like Kyle Kulinski or whatever. I get it. And right now, I am the friend who is too woke, okay? So I want to talk about us reaching a possible compromise, because this is where the critical part of my critical support comes in. You guys have a running joke that I'm gonna ask kindly to think about modifying, okay?
Yeah, this would have been the micropeen situation. So Pumps, this is what you're right, your theory that it all boils down to.
I just want to point out, as someone born and raised in Oklahoma who went out of their way to buy and own and keep and drape themselves in an intersex inclusive progress flag. I, as your friend who is too woke, I don't like anything along the lines of this joke anymore. Like, I've lost my sense of humor in this particular area because it just alienates way too many kinds of people that I care about. But that's what compromise is. We're both unhappy. Can we scale it down? I still think that's dark woke, right? But like it's like the difference between calling someone fat and being like they're obese. Like, dude, it's a clinical term. Just sleep. Not asking you to like stop making the joke altogether. Although, can we at least go down to like Dodge Ram small D energy? I don't know. It's just driving me crazy. In like November or December, I was listening to you guys and I was in the shower and I had you guys playing and you guys started in with the whole, Hitler may have had a micro penis. I had to get out of the shower and turn you guys off. I'm going to ask you guys to quit saying the clinical phrase of micro penis. That is a diagnosis that intersex people have. Just, can we switch it to small D energy? I'd really appreciate that. I don't want to lecture you guys. All right, so I've said my piece. Okay. Love you guys. Support you guys. I've literally really only got one complaint. Okay, thanks, ladies. Oklahoma. All right, I could talk about it in one way or another for a long time and correct the record on anything I can or try to. I know that some of you want to know more about me. I'll answer any questions that if I feel comfortable answering your question, I'll happily answer it. I won't get mad at you for asking any question. I won't get mad at you for asking basically any question that is actually made in good faith. Any real good faith question. Sure, ask. I don't mind. You'll just don't be weird. Happy Pride, everybody. Thank you for watching this absolute disaster of a video. And if you guys want to see more from me, of course, you can subscribe to the channel. And there should be some end cards popping up right about now to lead you to some other stuff. So see you next time. Do.